Hello, everyone, and welcome to the second of our video series demonstrating the VPAT tool. In this video, we're going to look at the extract function. And this is the function that lets us take data from the mainframe in either RMF or EDF format, and will let us load it into VPAT into a format that the tool can then use. So when we bring up the extract panel, we're presented with some input definitions on top. So we need to read in our LPAR data, which is going to be data at the KEK and LPAR level. And we also can pick a format, either RMF or EDF format for the input. There's also an XML format we can accept. And then second process we're going to run is to run the goal mode workload report, which is actually the service class data. This is RMF terminology. So if we run the data in here, we're going to produce data that is at the service class and report class level. Now, as we talked in our first video, we can run the tool on an ad hoc basis. So if we have a collection of data stored and we want to quickly go to a specific date or time or system, we can use the filtering here, and that will produce only a subset of the overall output into our output files. Now, the second row here lets us specify where our input file is going to come from. And these last four rows are the output files that the extract process is going to create. We get a file that's for the LPAR data, which contains KEK and LPAR level data. We have zip information here, so zip usage by LPAR. And we have IFL and ICF data that can be used for other purposes. We also have a read and save option at the bottom that we'll take a look at in a moment. So our first input we're going to demonstrate here is to use an EDF format input. So you notice when we change to EDF, this becomes an EDF filter here. So I'm going to click the select button and we're going to navigate to where our files are stored here. And here is our EDF file we're going to read in. Now, when we create output files, we want to put some sort of naming convention on them. And VPAT has a nice feature to allow us to easily control our naming. So if we simply add a node to the file name, such as PRD3-710, and then put a dot, we click the propagate button and VPAT will spread that to the rest of the file names. Now we may want to rerun this extract again. So we may want to save these file names so we don't have to retype this all the time. So if I click save here, it's going to allow me to save this, and I'm simply going to call this demo 1. And this will save the contents of the screen and allow us to reload these as desired later on if we want to. So once I have these files filled in and I've selected the proper input formats and no filtering, we're simply going to click on run. And when we run, we're producing the output files that are shown here. And we'll see that as soon as it's done, it comes back and tells us what hardware machine we're on and what the overall characteristics of the machine are, how many engines are online. And this information is available elsewhere inside VPAT, but this lets you know that the process completed successfully. Now we're going to go into the goal mode format. And this is going to be, again, data at the service class and LPAR data, service class and report class data. So we're going to add the same node to the file name. We're going to put in prod 3-710, and we're going to propagate that to our next. Now we will probably want to save this last change here too. So let's save this again, and we'll save it as this again. And now we're going to say that we saved it. So now if we come back into the product and we want to reload this, if we perhaps process a different system, we can easily bring back these definitions. We don't have to retype these file names. And again, our goal here is simply to click run. And once we click run, VPAT's going to read the data in and is going to produce output for these two files. And now we're complete there. Now, again, we talked about how input gets here. This is the EDF format that will be produced by the ZPCR toolset, the CP3000 extract program. And if we had used the RMF input format, that would be an RMF printed report in text format. So that's how the input process works. And at this point, we have files now that are ready to go in use for the other VPAT programs and functions. So if we go to the demo 1 folder, we can actually see what was created here. We have a file called scrext, and that is our screen capture. And then we have a series of file names that have been created by the extract process that contain all of the information that VPAT will now need to use to process and analyze your data. That brings us to the end of our first demonstration video. I hope you found it interesting, and we'll tune in for our next video where we're showing other functions in the VPAT toolset. Thank you very much.